Hello, good morning. Got me brew. Brew number 2 I might add. Right, where are we at? We are at VW Touran 1.6 TDI DSG dual clutch, dry clutch, gearbox, selector fork upgrade, I think. Right, so let's have a look at what we got here. Yeah, it's a bit gammy, isn't it? Right, I need to clean all this stuff up. All these gears, differential pin, got the planetary gears in there. That's the main shaft, which sits inside this shaft, lay shaft. I have replaced that bearing, as you probably saw in an earlier video. That's better. So that's all done and popped back in. And the only thing with that, popping that back in, is it needs to be in first. You cannot start banging that down into there when you've got all the synchros and that up in there like that, you see. So that has to go in, and getting the selector fork back in there, under there, and also in these two towers is a bit of a sausage, but we'll get to that in a bit. Right, basically this is the old shaft, as you selector fork, as you can see. It has the old style wobbly, crappy looking ball bearing, and that's the top part that broke, and that's residing in that bowl of shame. So like I say, that used to sit in there like so, kind of thing, and it used to have a stainless steel cup in there, and obviously the other end is here. And you do have to modify your gearbox housings by removing said stainless steel cups, which is not an easy task, believe you me. Let's just get the new fork in comparison. I don't know if I showed this on an earlier video, sorry if I have. So you see the shitty ball bearing effort and the new plasticky, they are like a hard plastic. All the other selector forks have them on. Okay, now why the hell they went for this fucking nonsense, I don't know. But anyway, the reason for the stainless steel shaft cups inserts is because if you had these ball bearings running up and down an alloy cup, that would soon wear away the alloy, hence the steel cup in there. So the modification is, like I say, to remove these two cups, 1, 2, there and there. And by golly, that is not easy. I took it down to see my very good friend Paul, hello Paul, at Norton Motorcycles of Andover, top engineer, and he got his tool out, and he tried, and he banged away. Could he remove these cups? No, and it was the right tool for the job to remove an internal sleeve from a receptacle. So yes, he tried his utmost but could not do it. So then I sort of come back home, tail between my legs, wondering what to do. And then my very good friend and neighbour said, hey, let me have the two casings and I will take them to my VW friend. And he had them for probably about a week, doesn't matter about the time. Winston, shush, thank you. Sorry about that. Win, enough. And he come home one night and he says, your gearbox housings have broken our tool. This is how tough they are in there. There's no way of just hydraulicing them out or trying to Dremel them out. You have to just have a little bit of luck on your side, I think. Anyway, like I say, week later, and he come home and said, there you go, and the cups are removed. Sadly, where the tool goes down, if you can imagine two pieces of metal, strong, you know, steel with like a little hook on the bottom of each side, like a mini puller, if you like, for internal removal. As the cups came out, obviously it's been a bit gouged, so I've had to go in to each hole and just clean them up on the insides, because they were like big gouge one side, big gouge other. It's the only, it just happened, it's one of those things, isn't it? And again with this one, I've had to slightly get in there and give them a bit of emery and fine emery just to smooth out because the fork would not slide up and down in there. But now we have a slidey, ooh madam, fork hole. And again there, this side's a bit stiffer because you have this piece on here. Can you see that, like a castellated piece? Well, that sort of clicks up and down in the three different positions on these little spring-loaded ball bearings, which I'm going to put some oil. I'm going to push it in and inject a little bit of oil just inside, because they are a little bit on the dry side. So yeah, just got to put it all back together, basically. So I did purchase 2 of these to just renew this, but you know it's a given that they will fail down the road, literally. So they have been superseded by this, and yeah, I mean, you can pick this up from VW or eBay or something. Now what I've got to do now basically is go around and clean all these magnets. There's 1, 2, 3, and I think there's a 4th one, so I think it's on the, oh there it is. There, can you see that one? That's a little bit on the, I got a load of bits of metal stuck to me, sort of point of view. Yeah, I'm going to oil all this lot up, make sure everything's free, there's no bits of metal in there. There's a synchro which goes between one gear and t'other, sort of slides it across to change the drive from this gear to that gear, so that's how you get the higher gears, sort of type stuff. Bearings are okay, need to, like I say, just liberally oil with the oil can over there. It's just got engine oil in it. There is specific gearbox oil to go in there, but I'm sure a little bit of squirt just to help it out to start with is going to be a good thing. Anyway, I should really be replacing these bearings. That doesn't look hopefully brilliant there, to be fair, but it is what it is. We need the car back on the road desperately. I am really suffering with rheumatoid arthritis and lupus and brain fog and fatigue. So although I've got all this stuff out on the table, and now it's probably taken me an hour and a half just to get in the shed and bring the bits out and do a little bit of cleaning. It is so tough. I can't stress that enough. So, but me having done that now, it gives me the impetus to just crack on for another half an hour or so, hour, and see how far I can get. What I'm hopefully doing today is getting all the gear towers back in their seats and the selector forks in situ. That's all I'm worried about at this point in time. Right, let me sort of crack on. I'm going to finish a brew before it goes cold because I waffle too much. Yes, you do, easy. I've also replaced this bearing. It feels beautiful, and that is the end bearing. The cap there goes on the other side of the housing there, and black sits in it. So you've got to put this over here like that with a piece of wood. You imagine that shaft there is down and through there, and what you don't want to be doing is banging this top down to sit it down onto this shaft and banging the whole. Every time you bang, it's going to be disturbing bearings and all that kind of stuff. So you don't want to be doing that. So what you do is you put a piece of wood underneath there, so this end sits on it. So the whole thing is literally sort of teetering on a piece of wood on that. So every time you drive that housing down, it's being absorbed, the shock is being absorbed by the wood. Okay, so right, let me crack on and wish me luck. Completely exhausted. Oh, I'm going to have to back away now. I just can't do anything else. But don't ask me how or why. We've got them back in. Now this is like an Egyptian puzzle. You can't put that piece in until that piece is in, but you can't get that piece in until that piece is in first, then that piece, but then you can't get that piece in without that piece in there. Do you see what I'm saying? And it's the same all round with all this lot. But there we are. Got a new forky there. Oh, flipping heck. I don't know. So I guess it goes down and it locks that one. Of course it does. Right, packing up. Oh. Lupus. I could just get it done. Normally I'd just get that all put well together. But I've done what I set out to do. It's just taken me a little bit over 2 hours, but that's with sitting down every 15 minutes just because of this and eyes shutting and all that. It's horrid. Anyway, just put a smile on my face, isn't it? Sort of. Right guys, thanks for looking, and I'll see you next time. Well, I had a nice sleep earlier. I was absolutely crackered. I'm still tired, still fatigued, but I got that back on. Got all the bits and pieces in there. That was a right kerfuffle. I don't know if I videoed it or not. I don't think I have. But anyway, it's all in there. I've got 3 selections on that one, 3 selections on that one, 3 selections on that one, and just 2 on that one because that is the reverse, so neutral reverse. Yeah. So yeah, I need to just drive that seal down in there a bit further. Got a new oil seal on there, got a new oil seal on the drive shaft output, new oil seal on that drive shaft output. Now, I silicon beaded it. Beaded, is that a word? I silicon bed it. Might be able to see some of it there, look. Some of that black sealant. I thought that part was part that got belted down, it didn't. I went right around with it very, very sparingly. And what I've done is I've done all the bolts up. Put all the new bolts in. And what I've done is all the new bolts inside here, look. And what I'll do is I'll leave that to cure overnight, and then I will torque it properly. So it just gives it that little extra seal tomorrow. There's no point in torquing it down now and squeezing absolutely everything out of there because it's defeating the object. So, yeah. Done alright, haven't I? Is this a DIY job? Nah. You can see why the guys charge a lot of money to do repairs on your DSG gearboxes, and it is. I suppose if you got the top guy, the hours would be less, wouldn't it? So you'd have less labour to pay for. But at the end of the day, there's a set thing for everything. There's a special tool for everything. I've had to cut my tools up and make do with what I got, sort of thing. And I even had to give it away to VW to remove those 2 little stainless steel caps that are inside the gearbox, that modification for the new Selector, bulk Selector. Right, got my cooling fan on, trying to keep me cool, but it's kind of doing something. But anyway, that's definitely it. I am going to pack up and go to bed. Right, catch you later guys, thanks for watching. There are times when the best laid plans go breasts north, and this is one of them. When I was, before I packed away yesterday, I thought, you know, I'm going to go have another rest because that's what I need lots of the time. And as I walked back through over the threshold there, Caroline stood there. I said, don't you just hate it sometimes when you think you missed something out? So I can't put my finger on it. I'm pretty sure I've done it right, but I'm pretty sure I got this feeling that I've not put something in, or I've put something in not right, or something like that. Anyway, yes, that goes on the input shaft, the inner input shaft. You've got 2 sets of roller bearings, and this little baby sits right at the end, so it slides all the way up the shaft, and then it goes into the outer drive shaft. Come out from tea, was packing away, second to last thing I picked up, and it was like fiddlesticks, seriously. You know, all that bolting down and the sealing and getting everything lined up, and all the forks jangled in there, in the gears into the selectors, sorry. It's all got to come out again. Anyway, it is what it is, and my attention to ballsing it up is up there with the rest. Anyway, I've put my makeshift, I don't know if I've put this on video before, this is my makeshift lifting solution to separate that from that, because that press fit in there, that main shaft, that's the one I've got to get out, incidentally. That's where that bearing goes on top of it. Nothing's wobbly in there, nothing is wobbly at all, because of those 2 sets of needle roller bearings that are sort of a third of the way and half the way up the shaft. That one is at the top. So as soon as I would have put it in the car, as soon as I started, it probably would have gone a couple of foot, and then it started going fuck. Caroline said, she said, it's a good job you've noticed that now, and not when it's in the car bolted up or put back in, struggled to death. I said, well, there is that way of looking at it, which there is, isn't it? So that's good, I think. I don't know. Anyway, so all I've done there is I've used this side where the mechatronic unit goes, 2 8mm bolts, bolted this, it's only aluminium this, but it worked the last time, so, and with a M8 piece of bolt through there, you can see how it's pulled up. So this time I've drawn a 12mm hole, popped a 10mm threaded rod through there, couple of decent stainless washers, big 10mm bolt, nuts, washer. So I bolted that down tight, and then following on I've put a nut and washer there, and then nut and washer there, and that's bolted down, so none of this moves. It's all completely attached to my wobbly table gearbox effort, and exactly the same done that side, only the 10mm thread threads into that hole, which is by the gear selector, bolt selector. So yeah, I'm bolted up, ready to go. What I've done here, basically, let's just loosen that off so you can have a look. I needed kick up the arse? No. Oh, fuck's sake, why is that gone? Ah, that's gone tight on. Ah, here we go. So there's my $8.99 puller assembly. The rest of it's down there, look. With me nut go. That bit goes on the end. Normally, see, on the last time I did it, that went in there, and obviously it flattened that little cup. Now, what that little cup is, and the seal's gone again on the bearing there. See that? Fucking idiot. I need to pop that back in, or out and then back in. I have the spare bearing somewhere, just in case I need to nick that one out of there. Anyway, I digress. Oil comes up here, or goes in, comes out of these two, to slit there, slot there. Either goes down that way via the filler cap, which is, I wonder what the design was for. This is the end plug, look. it's not just a plug, it is actually like an umbrella, or the oil goes up there and then comes out. I would have thought that way, wouldn't you boys? So oil comes up centre and then gets sprayed out of those 8 holes to luba, all that lot. Okay, so there was a spare one of these in the kit, so that is it. Now I don't want to put that back on there and wind it, because that will just flatten that again and it will impede the oil flow around there. So I went in my shed, I thought to myself, right, E.T., you need a big nut. So what did I find? A Honda DeVille front axle nut, which is quite apt really, because you have the base which sits on the shaft there where I want to knock out. Ooh, knock out. And then we have the conical, well, the recess part there, which is probably super duper hard. Then that sits on there, then I press. What could possibly go wrong? When I got up this morning, well, I said got up, when my eyes lids crept open this morning and I found my body seized. It was all I could do to get myself downstairs and get a mug of brew in my face with all my medications, 8 tablets, and that's before painkillers. Waited an hour, and then I slowly creak into existence, and here I am stood before you, attempting another load of absolute mentalness. Really, go figure. Right, let me crack on before, if I stand still too long, I turn stone. Right, so, right, let's do it. My cuckoo. What's it? Tough. Right, I've got my trusty grips on there and my 19mm spanner. Let's start winding, shall we? I was trying to think of a song for this. Probably Yaz, isn't it? The Only Way Is Up. Right, let's have a go. Sing amongst yourselves. Way. Actually, that's wrong. No, it's not. That's right. Which way was I going? That way, wasn't it? That's pushing that down and pulling this up. Like so. Oh, I see. Well, the good news and the bad news. The good news is it's moving. The bad news is it's taking the bearing back out. My new bearing, which is possibly knackered anyway. Anyway, same result. So just means I've got to get that bearing off the shaft in order to put that back in it. That's the trouble with brain fog. I'm trying to do something because I don't have money to throw at a mechanic, and my brain fog, I'm quite good at remembering bits and pieces, but when it comes to, there we go, that's off. Right, file them under B, and this should just lift off like that. Through the train. Oh my goodness. So there we have it. But now I've got to take, let me get you a bit closer. Probably better to see around this way. This part and down is the outside drive shaft, and this side and up is the inner drive shaft for the 2 different clutches. Okay, you can see that that's That's free from that one. Well, this top piece is the piece I need to get out, and that bottom piece can just stay where it is. So I have to probably remove this one first and those two selector forks, and then you have to lift this one up to get the bottom bit out of there. It's a bit complex, but I'm happy I've got that far. Just need to get that bearing off when I've got the shaft out, and I might even have to reuse the old one, which doesn't feel too bad. Now I don't know, I think I just changed it because I had a new bearing, but there we go. Right, sort of success. Oh dear, oh dear. Here we go again. Need me flannel. Right, and I've managed, a little bit of luck, I've managed to do this so far. As you can see, there's the roller bearings. There's one further down, and that little bit there is where that should be sat around. So I think I can just take this back out. There we go. See that? Unbelievable, isn't it? So anyway, I'm going to need to get my puller back together and pull this bearing off, and I can slide. There's no point in me sliding this back on here now because it will just fall off while I'm doing the puller bit there. So, bloody hell, seems to be never ending, doesn't it? But I'm happy I've got this far. Oh, blood from somewhere. Where's the blood from? I don't know. Probably somebody else. Then I need to wipe off all this black sealant with some cleaner. I've got some IPA, isopropyl alcohol, that should do that. And then I can do the other casing, get the sealant off of that, and then reverse the process. Yeah, can you imagine that? You got the old shaft in there, and the only thing supporting this part of the shaft at the top is that bearing. And if that wasn't in there, actually I'll put that in there actually, OMG, that would have been, just unbelievably shit, wouldn't it? And I'm quite fortunate that I've managed to jiggly this out without disturbing these two towers, because that is an absolute pig. Trying to get all four of these back down with only two hands, and bits having to be in front of others before it can be put in. It's just not, it hurts my head thinking about it. Anyway, I'm going to finish my brew and then work a little magic. That thing is worth its weight in gold. Come on, baby. Oh, the trouble is I need the rest now. So here we have that dodgy bearing back off. Yeah, look, this is what was in there, right? And this is what I had left over. That whole shaft would have gone like that and fucking just blown apart. Napoleon blown apart. Thank you. Oh, that is a result, isn't it? Right, start again, put it all back together. Oh, I can't do it. I'm gonna have to stop. Ta-da! That was a lot of jingly pokery, I can tell you, but it's all back together. The bearing's in the right place. I've just gone round with some thinners and some paper towel, so that's now ready for a silicone bead. I am happy in the knowledge that I've pretty much done it right this time and not forgotten anything. All the gears select, everything goes around, there's no horrible noises, and what a cow that was. That was an absolute monkey. But anyway, got to clean the other half of the casing off, and yeah, thinner around the bead, get that clean. Got to pop. I've got to make a good bearing out of these two. That's the original, quite free. That's the brand new one, nice and stiff. But the cap has come off, the packing cap. So I need to see if I can do anything about that. If not, then the old one's going back in. Right, okie dokie. I think I'm going to see the next episode because I am crackered. I'm going to have a sleep before I put the case back together because it's rain's coming in apparently. And I can't do this outside in the rain. So, see you later guys. Catch you next time. Right, just before I go, want to see the world's smallest kneeling down pad? It's an old pad out of my armoured motorcycle jeans. Anyway, right guys, did you spot the two mistakes I've made when I did that installing all the gears the initial time, the first time? Did you spot that roller bearing, needle roller bearing that I missed out, sat on the side still? Were you shouting at the screen? Okay. Anyone know what mistake number 2 was? And it is fairly obvious if you're sort of engineering minded. Give you 5 seconds. Too late. Wow. As I pulled the two shells apart, the two casings apart, instead of the bearing coming off of the shaft, the whole unit come out and left the bearing on the shaft. Now why did it stay on the shaft and not come out the way it's supposed to? I'll tell you for why. Because I forgot to put the circlip on it. And there it is now with the circlip in there, which stops obviously the bearing coming this way. And I did manage to where's the old bearing? I've probably lobbed it somewhere. Anyway, I've got that damaged piece off of the new one, and I managed to pop it into that one really easily after a good clean up. Do you know? Oh, there it is. There you go. So that's the old one. All the grease has gone away, and yeah, there we go. So that's that. Weigh that bit in. Yeah. So there were 2 faults. So I always say things happen for a reason. The reason is that I had to take that apart again because I forgot the main bearing, but I also found out that I'd forgotten something else in there. So it is what it is, isn't it? It's a learning curve for me, always, all the time, as you know. It's not often I do a DSG DQ200 gearbox. Never again. No, I'm not doing yours either. Would I recommend it? No. I've like I said before 10 million times, I've done it because out of necessity. If you're in the same boat, please watch my videos intensely and watch all the fuck ups that I do so you don't do them yourself. Yeah, I've got to put the clutch in yet, and that requires specialist shims, tools to measure the shims, which I don't have. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. Right, that is definitely it now. Now I've put that circuit back in. I've gone around the outside the bead with terps and a dry towel, so those parts can literally go back together. And I'm going to do that now. I am also going to use thread lock. I've got a little bottle of thread lock somewhere, I can't see it at the moment, but it's there. And thread lock each bolt, torque it all down, and yeah, so it should be ready for throwing in the scrapyard. Oh dear. Yeah, definitely need to sleep now. Bollocks to it. See you in a bit.